battery 100% connected. That's just what my ears told me. That must be true. It's Monday afternoon. It's HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, and I can't thank you enough for joining me today. Don't forget, you can support the show through super chats and stars and all that kind of stuff today. And eventually I'll get my act together and figure out a way to make this a scheduled thing on the on Restream or YouTube or any of these things so that they, I don't know, so I bust the algorithm when we burst past 45K, but we're at 41 plus right now. And not that long ago, we could barely nudge out 5,000. And I'm very proud of that fact. Don't forget, you can subscribe with Amazon Prime, and it doesn't cost you a dime on Twitch at any point today. Keep us above 1,000, please. Where do we start? Okay. All right, there's plenty going on tonight, including the Kemp, Stacey Abrams debate, which I've been looking for a clean source of, and like a lot of these debates, it's actually kind of a pain in the ass. Many of them are on local Georgia networks, not streaming necessarily. I do find it a bit odd that C-SPAN doesn't carry them on, like, can we just have a C-SPAN 4? I know most people don't care the way I do, but for God darn, I want to watch them. And if I can't watch them on time, I want to watch them later, or I want to be able to reference them. And especially, I want to be able to pull clips, which you can do on C-SPAN, but then they don't carry these stupid things. Maybe it's because, I don't know, the debate commission can't get people to sign on to doing it on. I don't know. Anyways, hi, Wayne Scrabber. Thanks very much. I feel pretty good. That said, we have plenty to do today. I just thought this one stood out, considering what Matt Walsh, the Daily Wire dick, said about anime. That here's Don Jr. on the Rumble, and this is about Nancy Pelosi wanting to punch out his dad. Look how many Rumbles! Dun dun dun! All right, see, that means something else to them than it means to us, but it's pretty interesting that it landed right there. I think this is a dead giveaway. By the way, when we get 666 people in the chat on YouTube, it's a good time to give a $6.66 super chat. That's how we used to do it anyways. And anyways, here's Don Jr. talking about probably how, like, I don't know. I want to see how he handles this, because if his comeback is, my dad could totally take an 80-year-old woman. I don't know how long the video is. We will see.
Success takes sacrifice. You'll need to come in early.
Thanks. Good morning surfing.
Work through lunch.
Picked from the garden.
And burn that midnight oil.
Lavender.
In this new era of work, HP Hybrid Solutions provides technology that works for your workforce. HP recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Visit hp.com/workhappy.
So weird.
Oh, he comes, I'm going to punch him out. This is my
wow,
moment.
I would pay to see
I've
that.
been waiting for this, for trespassing on the Capitol grounds. I'm going to punch him out, and I'm going to go to jail, and I'm going to be happy.
Well, guys,
look, for all of you that doubt it, that say, like, a 110-pound woman could threaten one of the Trump guys, and we would have the manliness to let it slide, you're wrong. No, look, 355. Apparently they fixed it. Or this is the new stumble number. We'll see. It's 3 minutes and 55 seconds. We'll see.
this should shock no one, but our Speaker of the House is a delusional idiot. Okay?
Yeah, she could totally not beat up my dad. I just want to say that. She's too short. He's 6'3". If she punched him in the gut, it would be like an hour and a half before the fat jiggles actually reached an internal organ. And
Now remember, when Trump said peacefully and patriotically,
yeah, he said, walk down there. Once you get there, all bets are off. Enough of this bullshit talking point. That died a long fucking time ago. I don't know why people float this bullshit. Trump said, I walk down there and peacefully and patriotically, and I'm going to go down there with you, which was also a lie. And ultimately, and apparently he throttled a Secret Service agent for not taking him there. I mean, they weren't ever in danger because they were about as in danger of him as he is of Nancy Pelosi punching him in the gut. Is there anywhere else on his body that isn't gut? Is it? Anyways, at no point did he say, you know, we're gonna stand there and let our voices be heard. He was like, you're gonna have to be strong, or you're not gonna have a country left. And if Mike Pence doesn't do what we need, you're gonna have to fight, or we won't have a country left. It's all bullshit. He just didn't want him to tear up the shrubbery on the way.
Protest. Well, now in recently released...
No, he didn't say that in protest. He said walk down there peacefully and patriotically. Everything else, including the fuck the magnetometers, if they've got guns, they're not here to shoot me. That was all, that was the real gameplay.
Video on January 6th.
You're reading this? I think there should be a rule about hard A's followed by soft consonants in all Don Jr. videos, because his hard palate cannot handle it.
Nancy Pelosi is quoted as saying, I hope Trump comes. I'm going to punch him out. This is my moment.
She's not doing little bunny fuck you, by the way, though. He's just for the record. At no point did she do like idiot sign language and do that. Like, again, one's enough. I quote, it's even too much then.
I've been waiting for this, for trespassing on Capitol.
How coked out are his fucking fingers?
Grounds. I'm going to punch him out and I'm going to go to...
Look at this. We just saw the fucking clip, dum-dum. Did you not know they were going to tack it on at the beginning? And by the way, is the fact that they tacked it on at the beginning the reason why it's not a 3-minute and 23-second clip? Did somebody... Motherfucker, did his video... that's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened.
Jail, and I'm going to be happy. How come the media is reacting like she's this great hero? Because first and foremost, let's discuss
this. She could totally not take my dad, okay? Like, shut up, okay? And give me my underwear back.
This, right? She's there on January 6th with a documentary TV crew.
Her daughter was filming. Your dad had a documentary film crew. Everybody wanted to film your dad leaving. It was one of the most filmed moments in history. Bye, motherfucker. The movie.
As if
the female Speaker of the House is an important thing in American history, and more important than the first orange president.
We needed more reasons to be conspiratorial.
All right, again, there's no direct quote from reason to be conspiratorial. And all right, I don't even know what the fucking air quotes were for. Yeah, it's the Little Bunny Fuck You show with Don Jr. It's his kids' show.
As if we thought for a second that this, what appears to me to be a mostly drunk and delusional old imbecile, wasn't...
Drunk and delusional? Fuckhead, she was actually doing her job in the middle of a violent attack. This asshole couldn't do his job if one of his shoes was too tight. By the way, you're right. I don't know what that fucking job is either, other than making 3-minute and 23-second Rumble videos.
Planning for all of these things. As if people should be shocked why we still haven't gotten answers to why she didn't bring in the National Guard and all those...
Okay, first of all, not her job. Secondly, Trump didn't order those. That's a lie. And thirdly, Trump took the part out of his speech that said, I'm going to walk down there with you. Like that whole walk down there peacefully and patriotically, and I'm going to go with you. He took that part out because if it was in there, they would have had more security at the Capitol. He literally left that out of the speech so that they could attack the Capitol unawares.
Those requests.
Yes, I do, Saucy.
If we needed more reasons to question everything that was going on, Nancy Pelosi...
Yes, we need to question everything that's going on. I mean, first of all, what's this gravity business? I'm going to need to read a book on it as I stand off 10 feet from a cliff out in midair, like a Warner Brothers cartoon character. And who says that vitamin C is in cocaine? We've got so many questions.
Pelosi is there with a documentary crew, talking tough, preaching violence. I was told...
Preaching violence. They were under attack. Preaching violence, preaching self-defense.
That's a huge threat to democracy. So it turns out the only elected official actually...
He's way too much reading in this one. Way too much reading for him.
Calling for violence on...
Calling, good. It was a squirrel. There is so much by your darn tootin'.
January 6th was in fact Nancy Pelosi with, I'm gonna punch him out. Thanks, to getting for the bottom of this, Liz...
Thanks for getting to the bottom of this.
Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, you guys have been investigating the violence of January 6th with your shame.
Literally. I think he like did a gum freeze or whatever that shit is with cocaine, and now his index finger and his middle finger are on both hands are high.
Garbage for months now. Where were you on this?
Where I gotta scroll. I wrote, the Heritage Foundation sent me a whole email about, Rona, next time, bigger text. I'm gacked out of my fucking brains here.
This one, folks. Seems like you're awfully quiet. So Nancy Pelosi is calling for violence on January 6th, while Trump was talking about peacefully and patriotically
going down there and building a gallows.
Protesting. This is our government to a T. And again, of course, it happens to be on video. By total coincidence on this day, she has a documentary film crew.
It's her daughter.
Lined up and in her office. And she's going to be...
Interestingly enough, your dad had a documentary film crew. I think the best thing you could probably do, release all the uncut footage.
Calling the shots. And if you watch the video, you'll see just how phony it is, just how obvious it is. You know, she is no actor, but you can see they're literally just setting up the narrative to make her into this hero.
Setting up the narrative, motherfucker, the place was literally under attack. Like, real life was happening. Do you have any idea, like, how, like, puffy and privileged your bullshit life is? When you can't react to real reactions from other people without it all looking like performative because you have a performative relationship with your father and he has a performative relationship with you.
And it's all nonsense, folks. Just watch it for yourselves.
He fucking spit. And he didn't even roll back.
No
Look
actor. But you can see they're literally just setting up the narrative to make her into this hero. And it's all nonsense, folks. Just watch it for yourself.
Yeah, we watched it. Fuck you. Nice goober, you prick. Ew. You're not gonna roll back and fix that? You're not gonna waste that cherry 2 minutes that you've already taped? Jesus Christ. Was that spit or just a chunk of crack?
You'll see just how fake...
I gotta move that out of the way. It streaked my screen on my laptop where the notes are. I can't.
This is why voters care more about the cost of French fries than January 6th findings. Because it's all nonsense.
Because it's all nonsense. And that's why my dad is totally going to show up with the subpoena and they're going to show them and he's going to sit for 10 hours and not plead the fifth and say everything under oath because we've got nothing. I'm sorry, what? The whole thing's a sham. We're not even showing up. At all. Okay?
It's all set up. Trump signed an order to deploy 20,000 guardsmen.
No, he didn't.
For January 6th.
No, he didn't.
And it was refused by the Speaker of the House, who the next day, or within a day or two, is literally not only calling for violence against the President of the United States.
Well, at that point, the former president, he was just, days, he'd already, it was, believe me, it was a fait accompli.
But has a documentary film crew there to make sure we capture her.
You think this guy's just mad that he has to film himself on his fucking phone for a living? How many times have we heard this prick talk about how, as the son of a billionaire, guys, if the filling up my tank is making me angry, I'm out to what the poor folks were talking about. Like, meanwhile, I'm a comic. I would call myself a blue collar artist. That works. I work for a fucking living. I get up every day. Time to make the donuts. You guys know I have one day off a week, Sunday. And even that day, most of the day, I spend either working on the show or educating myself about stuff that's coming up in the news cycle that I want to be up on so that I can compare. Okay, understand that. This dumb fuck tapes a couple of videos every 10 days, posts them for Coke money, and thinks he works for a fucking living. I mean, ultimately, this is essentially about him being jealous of the fact that somebody else wanted to film Nancy Pelosi, her own daughter, by the way.
Being a hero.
He can't even get Kimberly to shoot this shit. Not that I would trust Kimberly to go, baby, you spit on that last take. You want to roll that back? Like, I thought it was totally fucking sexy, but you might want to do it again, baby. Like, she's not there. He's fucking alone in this room. He is gacked out of his fucking gourd and alone. He didn't even have a lovely chat like I have with you guys. Right? I mean, as much as this is largely a rhetorical endeavor I'm in, because I believe I'm in the service industry of debunking and teabagging this bullshit every time it comes up, but I'm also interacting with you guys because you're actually here. There's nobody on the other fucking end. This is just pathetic.
Folks, does anyone believe these clowns anymore? Does anyone believe anything that comes out of their mouths anymore? Because
5 rooms away, Kimberly, staff member, a bored Secret Service agent, hears the muffled ramblings of this coked out prick in his office and never ever sees the result of whatever the shit he was yelling about. Understand that. How often, I mean, look at your favorite influencers online and how often there are other people involved in what they do. And when it's Don Jr., like, even like those millionaire travel influencers are always fucking surrounded by people. Yeah, that's true, Jenny. You are actually here. It's great. Just fucking alone. Yeah, where are his kids? Where's his fucking family? It doesn't matter. Like, they're not part of this, nor will they be.
if you do, you too are an imbecile, folks. You can't make it up, man.
You can make up anything. The human mind is incredible and imaginative, and your lack of imagination is not my fault.
It's so phony and it's so fake. It's disgusting. But that's the Democrat Party and the media, big tech, and all of those. They'll pretend like it was real, folks.
So his big defense on this is that Nancy Pelosi, that they filmed her threatening that if Trump comes there, she'll punch him in the face. And they did this because Nancy Pelosi is trying to appear macho. That's the take. And, oh, I see. Because he spends all day, every day, trying to defend his masculinity, which is, for the most part, non-existent, except on a basic cellular level. And it's so delicate that Nancy Pelosi saying what she said is an attack on his family's honor. Well, the men, anyways. I don't know that he believes the Booga Sugar. Yeah, totally. I think I don't know what their feelings are about the family honor of Ivanka or any of the women or Melania, for that matter.
He'll pretend like she's a great hero. We should be used to it by now. Don't buy into the crap.
We should be used to it now. Don't buy into the crap. Here's what I think. Here's what I think. I think she was speaking from the heart when she said that, because she was livid and disgusted. And the fact that the Trump clan had to attack her about it instead of just letting it slide means that they live in fear of any questioning of their faux masculinity, their performative masculinity that they put out all the time. Yep. Guys, that's the whole fucking thing. Luckily, those are interminably short, and at least he knew when it was going to end, in theory. Now, there's a couple things I love doing this show. You guys know it. One of my things that I love is being told what I think. You know, when the Republicans or the Fox Talking News folks tell us the left thinks whatever the fuck, right? Glenn Beck does this all the time. And our dear friend Bongholio does this all the time. This is Dan Bongholio, everybody, is he on Unfiltered? Yeah, he's on Unfiltered. This is his own show, which, by the way, he constantly complains about how filtered it is. Now,
listen,
shut up. So the biggest complaint he has is that on his show, Unfiltered on Fox, buried in the late afternoon on Saturdays, when at literally DGAF o'clock in the news cycle, I don't know, it's how they keep him on for doing the 5 occasionally or some shit. It's hard to tell what the worth of it is, but there you go. They've just buried him in the late Saturday afternoon. He's big on letting us know, you and me, what we really think, what we believe, how we see things.
See these Marvel movies out there, you know.
Yeah, so watch all.
Hulk, Spider-Man, all that stuff.
Yeah, I watched Hulk, Spider-Man, all that stuff.
They have this weird thing where there's these alternate universes there. Whenever they...
Okay, this weird thing, these alternate universes. Okay, he's talking about the multiverse, kind of. But I'm a big fan of people trying to explain stuff they are not interested in or don't give a shit about, and also fundamentally don't understand in fiction poorly. So this is going to be exciting.
They need to explain something away like, hey, that's crazy. Like the X-Men. How did they not see the attack on New York? Oh, they were in an alternate universe or something. You know, you've seen some of it in Marvel. Remember this? Check this out.
I'm Peter Parker.
Okay, so they're doing the 3 Spider-Man timelines.
That's not possible.
By the way, and No Way Home is awesome. Great movie.
I'm Spider-Man in my world.
No.
Okay, unrelated. And by the way, that's how they explain it. They don't just not explain it. They actually explain it.
Reality can be whatever I want.
This, folks, these actors, they could be in the Biden White House too.
You do realize you're a huge fan of a pretend billionaire, right? Like, literally, if you want to talk about alternate universes, it's where Donald Trump is actually a success at real estate and Joe Biden is actually under the thumb of China because of some deal.
There's multiple universes there too in the Biden White House. These guys are full of crap all the time. There's the...
Okay, so there's multiple, this is his premise. Okay, multiple universes in the Biden White House. They're full of crap all the time.
Real universe, and there's the full of crap universe. That's a...
Yes, that's where your show sits.
Biden universe. Real, full of crap.
Get on with it.
Real, full of crap. So,
oh, for fuck's sake.
they're full of crap on inflation. You ever see this guy Biden? He's always chatting about inflation as if he did something to stop it with the Inflation Reduction Act or whatever. So he gives a speech the other day talking about how Republicans, if they get in office, are going to make inflation worse, which is really weird because inflation was 1.2% year over year before this guy took office.
Yeah, because the entire economy was fucked into a cocked hat. There's an alternate universe that apparently Bongino lives in where the economy of 2020 happened because of the fiscal responsibility of Donald Trump, who raised the national debt $7 trillion in 4 fucking years. Actually less, because they did it in a big hurry and then they coasted on it. But that he made the decisions that brought gas down. He made the decisions that brought down inflation. And not the fact that he ignored COVID because he was trying to get his deal with China through, so much so that it basically overwhelmed the entire economy and just killed a bunch of people, and who gives a fuck? COVID never happened. That's the alternative universe financially that Bongino wants everybody in his circle to live in.
It's now 7 points higher. Does he ever tell the truth? The Wall Street Journal covered this. And
really, who owns the Wall Street Journal? Wouldn't be the same company that owns your network, would it?
he said, you know what? We had to print a whole bunch of money.
We didn't print a bunch of money. And even during quantitative easing and the idea that we were handing out PPP loans and that kind of stuff, and that was creating more money in the economy, at the same fucking time, wealth in the economy cadavered. It didn't stack on top of the normal economy. The normal economy was fucking gone. That's why we in the financial markets worldwide right now have a liquidity problem with the US dollar. Would the US dollar be as strong and as worth as much as it is right now if there were too many of them in fucking circulation? This is one of the dumbest fucking arguments these assholes keep putting forward. The money printer printing money, printing money, money printing. Which, if all the quantitative easing and all the loans and all the stuff that the federal government did during COVID had been done without the existence of the damage that COVID did to the regular economy, you'd be right. It would just be magic money on top of money, and that would be insane. That's why nobody ever fucking did it. Nobody even suggested it, except Donald John Trump, because in 2019, Trump was telling the Fed we need negative interest rates. On top of our regular economy, we need to print more money. And not only that, the Fed needs to pay banks to take it. The baseline fucking stupidity of this shit. And the fact that this dickhead is talking about alternative reality when he is literally making all of his case about the economy as if COVID never occurred. As if supply chains have not been either shattered, shortened, or in some cases, going forward, eliminated forever. That's what this asshole's doing. He's pretending none of that is true. But what do we expect? It's Bongholio. He's looking for a teepee for his bunghole. Teepee. All right.
To inflate away the dollar. Why?
To inflate away the dollar. Fucking hell. I mean, every fucking time. Must I? All right. Here's, you want to see some Wall Street Journal? Fuckhead? You want to see this? This is today. Hold on. Yeah, this is today. Here's this, Wall Street Journal, Biden deceptions and inflation. Meanwhile, on the same fucking newspaper today, it took me all of 4 seconds of typing and 2 goddamn clicks to get to a strong U.S. dollar buoys small cap company stocks. Why not grab that headline, Bongholio? Why? How about this? Why this one, not this one? Why this one and not this one? How come? Why? Huh? What is this? Hey, Bongholio, answer me. You blocked me on Twitter, you prick. Oh my God, just the fucking laziness.
Because the economy needed help. Actually, that's not right either there, Joe B. The economy was growing at about 6% GDP annualized before you got in office.
From a fucking hole. And it absolutely was not. Like the idea that we were growing, hold on. Like that's GDP growth. Let's look at 2020. Let's go. Here's the BEA. 1 second, if I may. Current dollar decreased 2.3% or $498.3 billion in 2020 to a level of $20.93 trillion, compared with an increase of 4% or $821 billion in 2019. So it was going up, and then COVID hit, and it took a giant shit. It went down 4, and then it was up 4, and then it went down 2. It's basically severed it in fucking half. The price index for gross domestic purchases increased by 1.2% in 2020 compared with an increase of 1.6% in 2019. Let's see. We're going to try to do it. There you go. There you go. That's what life looks like with a... It recovered quickly because everybody thought it was over, and then Delta hit, and it took a giant shit. Just lazy and dumb.
And now we're shrinking. You know, like this, it means getting smaller.
Oh, I see. Like your brain, you raisin-brained moron.
You know about that?
Yeah, tell me about that. I mean, we're all here. You got 3 minutes left or 2 and change. School us. Give me an economic lesson, fuckhead. Let's do it.
See the Seinfeld episode?
No, I didn't see the Seinfeld episode. Maybe speak in actual words.
It's not just inflation they lie about in this alternate universe they live in. Again, the reality...
No, asshole. You just lied about inflation, by my count, 5 fucking times. Major times, anyways.
Universe, and then the full of crap universe Biden lives in, right? Did you see...
No, not right. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
See the stunt they pulled with gas prices? So, you know, sadly, gas prices are going up again. We all get hurt by it. We all put gas in our gas tank, right?
Well, if you have an electric car, you don't. Isn't Elon Musk your hero?
So instead of using the national gas average, which is going up, this is great. If you spend any time in a statistics class in college, you know.
Yes, that's where you could find Bongholio in college, in a statistics class.
Central tendency, you know, the mode. They didn't pick the average. They picked the most common gas price.
So, more Americans pay that price than the averaged out price between the cheapest gas in the country and, say, California gas. Is that what it is? Fucking hell.
Mode. Folks, nobody does that as a measure.
Nobody does that.
Of gas prices. Here, take a look.
Since the beginning of the summer, gas prices are down nearly $1.20, and the most common price at gas stations today is $3.29 per gallon.
Take stock of where gas prices are today. You know, today in America, the most common price for retail gasoline is $3.29.
Did you catch it?
Yes, we all heard it. What's your point?
Not the average.
This is, again, this is supposed to motivate Republican voters to vote this fall.
The most common price. You know, mean, median, mode, and stuff. You're like, I heard something like that in my statistics class in college. If you live in an alternate universe, you pick whichever one of those measures gives you the price that isn't the real average. That's what they do, the Marvel universe. There's one more, too.
Why didn't you show the average price then? According to AAA, average gas price is $3.88. Look at that good old-fashioned American map. Here's the cheapest gas. Here's the mid-level. Here's the states that are slightly above mid-level, whatever. And then here's the more expensive ones. California, West Coast mainly. There you go. Refinery issues and, of course, more gas taxes. Washington State, in particular, Oregon, California, we spend a lot more for gas. And so you can spend a lot more for gas as you drive through the barren desert states as well.
This one really aggravates
$3.88, that's the average.
the hell out of me because it involves things like, people dying and stuff, crime.
Uh-huh. Let's hear it. This involves people dying and stuff, like crime. I'm guessing we're not going to talk about too many loose guns on the street.
This is serious.
You think?
I was a police officer and a federal agent myself. We'll be covering some of these issues tonight about law enforcement, right?
Right.
It's optional for some of these cities to submit to the FBI their crime numbers. So right before the election, I find it awfully strange that the FBI crime statistics.
Hold on. This is the article. Let's see if it says what he says it says. Haven't looked at it. We'll see. Let's do it.
Statistics didn't include LA and New York. See, because if you live in the full of crap Biden universe, not the
crunching the crime stats. That's Christopher Wray. That's the guy that Trump put in charge of the FBI. And that's Joe Biden happy because he has a belly full of ice
real
cream.
universe that we all live in, high gas prices, inflation, and people beating the crap out of each other on streets in LA and New York because they can't get crime under control, it would probably be
That's why they're beating people up? It's a weird way to handle it.
really helpful to get a national picture of the crime situation by including only two of our biggest cities. I'm just going to throw that idea out there.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Let's see. Is it brand new? Did the Biden administration stop giving crime stats all of a sudden? What do you think the chances are?
Probably a good idea.
All right, maybe.
Crime picture national.
He's going to go back. Okay, so we'll show videos of people fighting.
Big cities nationally. You don't think it's strange they left them out? But when you live in the full of crap universe, there you go.
Okay, so that's where they stop. He stops the video there on black people beating up other black people. Here's the actual article. Let's see. Murder rate mystery. New FBI crime stats don't include New York City, LA. Biggest U.S. cities haven't converted to new reporting system. Policymakers urge to exercise care amid data blind spots. The FBI's latest crime report shows violent crime dropped in 2021, but there are a few gaps in the data, like New York and Los Angeles. Police departments in the nation's two biggest cities were among those that failed to convert to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's new data collection system, meaning they weren't able to submit I thought they were choosing not to protect Biden. The way New York does. To submit statistics for the report released Wednesday, the FBI and Justice Department instead made estimates for those cities. They didn't just leave it blank. They didn't just assume. They made estimates by looking at the actual stats that the cities put online and putting that into the... fuck me. Okay, according to the new report, the number of murders rose 4.3% in 2021 from 22,000 to 22,900. That compares to a whopping 30% jump between 2019 and 2020. This, you starting, fucking hell. You guys, you starting to get how the headline game works on the right? You starting to understand how they get their own easily baitable, and by the way, I tell people on the left side of things to avoid this kind of shit too. Like I said, bless his heart, Rex Chapman, but sometimes he'll post videos of like violent encounters with cops that only start right as the violence has started, has nothing of the 20 minutes preceding or any of that stuff, and leads people to think that this is an extraordinary example of something it is not. That kind of stuff. You should wait in all those situations to get as much information as you can. And if any time you do not get all the information, you can take that in as a factor of why was all the information denied me to make my decision about this? You can take that as suspect, I think. But there is a reason why this motherfucker puts up headlines and then does not read the rest of the article or does not post it. Yeah, TYT does this shit all the time too. According to the new report, the number of murders rose 4.3% in 2021 from 22,000 to 22,009. That compares to a whopping 30% jump between 2019 and 2020 when Donald John Trump was president of the fucking country. Let's see. The FBI said violent crimes dropped because a 9% decrease in robberies offset smaller increases in murders and rapes. Is there a crime problem? Do we have to deal with it? Yes, as adults. A 4.3% jump in a single year in a country of 340 million people, when that's 22,000 to 22,900. Is it something to like pop out of bed like a fucking jackknife, sweating in the morning? No, it isn't. But it's something you consider when you vote for a DA or you vote for a sheriff or those kind of, you factor it in, but it's not in a country this fucking size, 22,900. All right. Anyways, any is too many, but best practices in stopping it, right? Okay, Republicans have made rising crime a major plank of their midterm election campaigns, and Democrats are likely to seize on the new report, but the data gaps could limit the statistics' political benefits. With so many agencies failing to report a full year of data for 2021, the year's annual crime data release will have significant blind spots, according to an analysis by the nonpartisan Brennan Center for Justice. Policymakers will have to exercise great care when using this limited data, both pro and con, for the record. Crime overall, including nonviolent offenses, was flat between 2020 and 2021, according to the FBI. That's April to April. That's the same time period we got the first list of 100,000 opioid deaths as the excess deaths were marked during COVID. The FBI stopped accepting data from the old system in January 2021. The new collection and analysis system is expected to dramatically improve data about crimes once it is fully in place. Now, again, there is going to be, and I've talked about this before, there is going to be in 10 years' time, I look back at the number of people who are in jail and they're going to go, there was a huge increase in incarceration due to a renewed interest in Biden's crime bill, kind of da-da-da-da. And I'm here to fucking tell you that this will put more repeat offenders in jail for longer. And will put resources in areas where more repeat offenders showed up. In the same way that the crime bill that Biden put forward, while there are certainly people who were, where 3 strikes in California had its impact on groups of people as far as like length of their sentence because they kept offending violently. The major reason why we had an increase in incarceration in the United States, hands down, is VICAP and the fingerprint system. They both went online from 1993 to 1999, so you couldn't lie about who you were. Go watch the Ted Bundy shit about how the 40 days he was in the fucking wind before he made his final attack in Florida and got busted, and they brought him before a judge, and it was obviously Ted Bundy to anybody who sees the video now, but then they didn't know who the fuck this guy was because he had a paper license that was typed. There was no picture ID. Once that shit ended, people went to jail for a long fucking time. FBI stopped accepting data, okay, from the old system. It isn't clear, though. Oh, sorry. Hold on. The new collection and analysis system is expected to dramatically improve data about crimes once it is fully in place, helping lawmakers, policymakers, law enforcement agencies, public safety organizations, and researchers better understand the scope and demographics of violence. It isn't clear, though, when that will happen. It will probably be possible to speak of a precise national murder rate or national violent crime rate for 2021, according to the Brennan Center. Confidence intervals may make it difficult to determine whether the rates of some offenses rose or fell. They didn't leave the numbers out. They estimated based on the regular reporting. Their new system is way more precise. That's all. Nobody fucking pretends that they, you know, that murders and rapes and violent crimes and robberies didn't happen. Yes, record high voting does mean more Dems are voting, Ethan. That is true in our chat room. Hi, chat room. Anyways, love you guys. I just needed to, like, when somebody posts an article like this, it, like, every single time, like, it makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up because it is always suspect. It is every time they fucking do it, you know, especially when it's murder rate mystery. That's it. The new FBI crime stats don't include NYC and LA, but it doesn't say they don't. By the way, that's not true either. They estimated. They used the regular statistical way to add it into their averages. Because 2 among those have failed to convert to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's new data collection system, meaning that they weren't able to submit statistics for the report released Wednesday. Instead, the FBI and Justice Department made estimates for those cities. They're not missing. They might be slightly higher, they might be slightly lower, but they're in the fucking ballpark. So even that headline is a lie. They include them. They just go on how the city does them on the old system, and they incorporate them into they plug those in instead of using the new reporting system. Is your toaster trying to kill you? Right after this. Exactly. This is like something in your water may be killing you. Tune into our special report on Friday. What? It's my water. Tell me fucking now. Say, trade me right fucking now. Trade me right fucking now. And hang up. All right. So Bongholio's a moron and a liar. And we know this, the end.
You get a little prettier picture before the election to try to lie to people.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
All right. Not at all. Look at Twitter. What's happening on Twitter? Oh, is there a Twitter situation? Or are you sending me the link to, let's see, mentions. Just look at Twitter in general. Where you go? I'm looking. That's funny. People are sending me pictures of dogs. Oh, in the Marjorie Taylor Greene crowd. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I was looking at it. I looked at Twitter, Saucy. I'm hoping you're talking about the. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. 1 second. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Is that the... I'm trying. Kemp in the lead, slightly ahead. Yeah, only if his people turn out. Trying to find the thingy thing.
Success takes sacrifice. You'll need to come in early.
I don't know why these HP people want my eyeballs so much. Very strange. And wait and see. Okay, is this actually a...
In the race for governor. Tonight, Governor Kemp takes on Abrams in their first debate since 2018. Libertarian Shane Hazel will also be participating in tonight's debate. Polls have consistently shown Kemp ahead, but
Libertarian
Abrams is within striking distance.
Thank you to the libertarian asshole who is in there who might take some votes, I suppose, from Kemp.
11 Alive's Doug Richards is live now at an early voting location in DeKalb County with more on what voters are expecting from tonight's
He's having a good
debate.
time. Look at that. All right, this is just this is their prequel-y kind of thing to it. There we go. Their YouTube page. They're going to go live. Here you go. Well, you go watch it live. Breaking. Something's broken. Go for it. This'll it'll come up in a second. Start streaming 2 minutes ago. 736 watching. Breaking news. I'm Hal Sparks, live from my office, where we're about to go live to the Stacey Abrams, Brian Kemp Schlockfest with Shemp Libertarian as the third party candidate, just there for chuckles. He'll be standing as per Georgia rules. The two main contenders will have podiums, and the Libertarian candidate will be peeking over a fence like Kilroy. So, breaking. Everything's broken. All right. I'm Hal Sparks, man about town. All right. It's in your Discord. So I can put the link. Oh, thank you, Saucy. I think this will do. We'll see when it goes live. I'm going to keep the audio on so that it pops up whenever it starts. And in the meantime, I will just show you. This is... there are few people that earn the title goofy as fuck like Glenn Beck. Watch country boy Herschel Walker slams far left Senator Warnock. Because I'm wearing my Fisher Price bait salesman outfit today. I'm Glenn Beck.
Herschel Walker, he's no man's dummy.
All right. Is this just him getting it out of the way? Like, okay, people, the main word that people think of when they think of Herschel Walker is dummy. The most important thing is don't say dummy, whatever you do. When you mention his name, don't put dummy right next to his name because people will think Herschel Walker, dummy. Fuck, Glenn, you did it again. I hate myself.
He came out a couple of weeks
He's every man's dummy. That's right.
ago and said, I'm going to get killed in the debate. I'm going to get killed. This guy is a preacher. He's used to talking all the time.
Yeah, that's what preachers do. They just talk all the time.
Don't do this.
I'm just a country boy.
I'm just a country boy. Excuse me. He used to run 6 hospitals. He used to be in the FBI. He's a police officer in like 9 counties at once. He was top of his class.
Country boy. Mm-hmm. And the country boy taught the city boy a few things, I think.
The city boy. Is anybody else's skin crawl as this motherfucker's using the word boy kind of loosely for both candidates? That bother anyone else?
It went shockingly really well for, and I say shockingly because he said, I'm going to suck. He did not suck. I don't think it was a clear knockout, but he did really well.
Yeah, there's a way that you have a candidate who's a celebrity, who's never done this before, in his first ever debate.
Yeah, celebrities who've never done this before. They're always ice skating uphill to get the crowd's attention.
Like this.
Like, he's just defending Trump. Like, let's see. when I think of a giant asshole who doesn't know shit about the issues, but can bully his way through conversations with people who are far more qualified, who do I think of that we also support? Trump.
There's a story that goes, unfortunately,
oh dear,
that ends in his campaign being destroyed. Right?
Yes,
He gets on stage, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he screws up, whatever.
Yeah, all he did was say that we should have government health care.
That did not happen at all in this.
Public opinion polls in our state show support for the right to abortion, Medicaid expansion, and
what the hell? Did this start in the middle of this? This literally came in. When did they just started streaming? Quality.
Almost every poll. Wow.
Candidates have 60
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to address the community.
Look at this. They're playing both frames. The open and shut. This is 11 Alive's got two windows open. They were not prepped for this.
Georgia. The reason people are on my side are because I'm on the right side of history and on the right side of the issue.
Close the window. Jared, quit it. Click off the thing. People can see your desktop now. What are you doing?
For the right to
but we also know.
Jared, quit it. Oh, thank you. Thank God, man. Put it back. Turn it back off. I'm not ready.
Okay. And left out of the conversation. Students who have found themselves.
All right, start back at the top, dum-dum. It's going very well, 11 Alive. You're doing great. I feel a lot better about my own production quality when when I have audio issues on my channel. Yes, I blame big tech. That was it. Okay, so it's already started. They're just behind, I guess. I don't know. We're 3 minutes in, guys. This is very bad. All right, hold on. I'm gonna have to move this so I can move these guys out of the way. All right, so play it. Play the thing. Do it. When we said breaking, we didn't mean break it. All right.
Success takes sacrifice. They need to come in early,
Good morning, serving.
work through lunch,
Picked from the garden.
and burn that midnight oil.
Hold on. You're doing great. Try again.
In Washington, D.C., from President Biden and the Democrats that have complete control. And thankfully, working with the Georgia General Assembly, we've been able to work to help give some relief to people.
I guess we're just jumping into this.
People, despite what's happening in Washington, like giving a income tax credit back to our citizens, cutting taxes, also
Giving an income tax credit back to you're paying for votes? Is that what you're doing? This sounds like social welfare.
suspending the gas tax since March now, $800 million of relief for our hardworking citizens. So that is what my focus has been on, and it's what it will continue to be on.
Thank you.
And I'm going to sound as country as possible.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Bellamy, your question for Shane Hazel.
Mr. Hazel, Georgia seems to be struggling right now in dealing with how to
Shane Hazel.
legally take on the issue of cannabis in the state. What do you think needs to be done here? How should Georgia address the issues surrounding marijuana?
I guess a perfect question for a libertarian. We believe that cannabis is a plant that grows from earth naturally. And
Yeah, but the modified versions aren't natural, dummy.
the hubris that the federal government has shown in making a Schedule I drug while also holding patents on it is one of those things where we find it somewhat laughable. And it is.
So you're on the side of the Biden administration.
It is a right of people. It is medicine. It is something that we can add to our industry here in Georgia and really displace a lot of what comes in from outside of Georgia. This is
Yes, we can have a better weed market inside.
A huge win for Georgia. We have a great agricultural sector. We can grow 2 bumper crops of cannabis every year. The idea that it is still illegal and that Brian Kemp has talked about this and tweeted about it as it is a good thing when we make cannabis bust and cannabis bust only is a real sign that the government in Georgia is using it for the prison industrial complex, for the law enforcement complex to go after communities that would like to see freedom in this area. So it's a right. That's how we see it as libertarians.
Right.
We love it. You know, if you want to smoke poison ivy, also ask me about bath salts.
Thank you very much. You have a rebuttal?
Yeah, I would just like to make sure people at home know that I have been doing exactly what I told them I would do when I was campaigning for governor, and now that I am your governor. We have been going after street gangs and drug cartels. So the things that we're tweeting out there is when our great men and women in law enforcement are making drug busts, not from recreational use.
It's a plant.
Other things.
It's a plant.
But that's what.
So are poppies, dummy.
My focus is on.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Greg, please
plant.
ask a question of Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, Ms. Abrams, in 2018, you didn't concede defeat to Governor Kemp, and you talked to systemic problems with the state's election system. This election, do you commit to accept the outcome of the vote, regardless of what it shows? And do you stand by your use of words like rigged 4 years ago to describe the state's election system?
In 2018, I began my speech on November 16th acknowledging that Governor Kemp had won the election. I then proceeded to lay out in grave detail the challenges faced by voters under his leadership as Secretary of State, including the 10+2 who were arrested in Quitman, Georgia, because they had the temerity to use absentee ballots. I told the story of students who were denied access to the right to vote, even though they had duly registered. 80,000 complaints had come in by that day, and it took 4 years of federal investigation in a lawsuit that was the longest running voting rights lawsuit in the state's in recent history that proved us right. Now, we didn't win every single claim, but we forced massive changes to the election laws. And unfortunately, Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger have decided to restore their greatest hits. Just today, a homeless woman was denied the right to vote in Forsyth County because she did not receive a provisional ballot because she had been challenged. As governor, I intend to stand up for the right to vote. I will always acknowledge the outcome of elections, but I will never deny access to every voter, because that is the responsibility of every American to defend the right to vote.
Thank you. Brian Kemp, rebuttal, 30 seconds.
Well, I would just say that Ms. Abrams is going to do a lot of attacking of my record tonight because she doesn't want to talk about her own record. In 2018, in the governor's race, we had the largest African-American turnout in the country. She said that Senate Bill 202, our recent Elections Integrity Act, what we passed 2 years ago, would be suppressed.
By the way, Georgia has a lot of African-American people in the state. Just saying.
Impressive in Jim Crow 2.0. Just this past May in our primaries, we again had record turnout in the Republican primary and the Democratic primary. In Georgia, it's easy to vote and hard to cheat.
And I'd like to add just a second here, as the libertarian,
30 seconds for you.
Although you will push for people to have access to going to the polls and voting, you're not pushing ballot access. This is a huge oppression for people like the third parties, the people that want to get their people on the ballot. We have, I think, 20% Democrats, 20% Republicans in the state of Georgia. That leaves 60% of people in Georgia unrepresented by ballot access laws that both of them support.
30 seconds, Ms. Abrams.
Actually, to correct Mr. Hazel, I co-sponsored legislation to expand ballot access because I agree with you that third parties should have better access to the right to vote in the state of Georgia. I co-sponsored it with one of our independents in the state legislature. But let's be clear about ballot access and voter access. Brian Kemp was the Secretary of State, and he has assiduously denied access to the right to vote. We know that the right to vote is the only way that we can make the changes we need in the state, the only way we can make the changes we need in this country, whether it's access to the right to an abortion, the ability to take care of our families. We need a governor who believes in access to the right to vote and not in voter suppression, which is the hallmark of Brian Kemp's leadership.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on.
With all due respect, I was called out. I would like to just the record reflect, as my time as Secretary of State, I'm the person that created the online voter registration system in this state, where any Georgian can vote, register to vote 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So for someone to say that we have been suppressive in our state when we've seen turnout increase over the years, including with minorities like African Americans, Latinos, and others, is simply not true. And again, Miss Abrams is going to lie about my record because she doesn't want to talk about her own.
All right, we're going to move on here.
And that's the case.
We're going to move on here, Mr. Hazel. Jennifer, your question for Brian Kemp.
Governor Kemp, several hospitals and medical centers across the state have announced or gone through with plans to close their doors, leaving a gap in care and a reduction in services at a time when our healthcare workers are already suffering from burnout, from increased demand and workloads. Many are now facing care that will be delayed or unavailable, while our state's capital will soon have only one level 1 trauma center. What will you do to ensure Georgians have access to critical healthcare services in hospitals?
Well, I would just remind voters at home there's also hospitals being built across this state and new options for people for health care.
That's right. There's a giant one that goes all the way across the state, like right along the Manson-Nixon line.
Look, the AMC situation was something that was thrown on a lot of political leaders, including me. But instead of complaining about it and doing the blame game, I went and worked with Fulton County, with DeKalb County, with Democrats to come up with a solution that put state resources into Grady to help make sure people have the...
Delbert Grady? The guy who watched The Shining Hotel before Jack Torrance showed up?
...access and the care that they need in our state. And I'm committed to continuing to do that in the future.
It's interesting that his accent comes and goes. Anybody notice that? Like when he's talking about average Georgians, he gets real fucking syrupy in the way he talks. And then he gets real like hospital executive conversation, real upper class Atlanta. Does anybody else know that? Just me.
All right. Shane, I'm sorry. Chuck, you get the final question to Shane Hazel.
Thank you.
Shane Hazel.
Mr. Hazel, you ran for Congress in 2018. That was just 4 years ago. You ran as a Republican. You got less than 30% of the vote in the Republican primary. What happened between then and now that made you a libertarian?
Weed.
I actually came back to my roots as a libertarian. We believe in freedom. We saw what the Republican Party was. We saw what the Democratic Party was. They are force and coercion. No matter what they talk about, it's force and coercion. Whether it's certificate of need for hospitals, whether it is...
Yeah, they forcing hospitals on people.
Taking guns away from law-abiding citizens.
That are going to put people in those hospitals. I mean, whose side are you on?
It is always force and coercion at the point of a gun from the Democrats and Republicans.
Well, how you think you end up in the fucking hospital?
To look at life through consent, the eyes that, hey, we can all have transactions.
Oh, you mean like a pro-choice approach?
Do it every day in the private sector. 99.9% of us go throughout our day without...
Yeah, you can't fire citizens, dummy.
Raping people, without murdering people, without pointing guns at people to take their property. That is not what the government does under...
Yes, let me be in your government so I can have that power too.
Republicans and Democrats, period. That's how I became a libertarian. This is why we're going to send this thing into a runoff. And if people were really looking for something to change, you'd vote libertarian. You'd send a message to both of these parties, because one of these people will most likely be the executive in a rigged system, that you want to be more free.
It's rigged. He said it's rigged. That's why I'm not voting.
Thank you. That concludes the first round of the debate. The candidates will now ask a question to each of their opponents.
Oh dear. I feel like this is a mistake.
Candidates will have 30 seconds to ask the question, 60 seconds to respond, and the candidate who asks the questions will have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Doesn't take me 30 seconds to say, what's your fucking problem?
By random selection, Brian Kemp, you may ask the first question to Stacey Abrams.
Totally random.
Well, thank you very much. As many people know, I have over 100 sheriffs endorsing.
Seriously, this dude sounds like Al Gore on 16 RPM.
Endorsing my campaign, several of which are Democrats. And my question for Ms. Abrams tonight is how many sheriffs statewide have publicly endorsed your campaign?
Mr. Kemp, what you are attempting to do is continue the lie that you've told so many times. I think you believe it's the truth. I support law enforcement and did so for 11 years. Worked closely.
Womp, womp. That is not the face he was hoping to make right after this answer started.
With the Sheriff's Association. I'm probably the only person standing here who's ever actually written a SOP for police department when I was working for the city of Atlanta. But I have two brothers, one who has committed crimes, and I want his victims to be able to call the police and get the help they need, and I've always supported that right. But I have another brother who has faced being pulled over for driving while black when he was coming back from his job as a social worker. Unlike you, I don't have the luxury of relying on slogans to describe my position on public safety. I believe that we need safety and justice because I love both of my brothers. And like most Georgians, I lead a complicated life.
What? I gotta say, Kemp was not expecting an actual answer.
Well, we need access to help, but we also need to know that we are safe from racial violence. While you may not have had that experience, too many people I know have, and that is why I will always stand up for making certain that safety and justice are the conversations we're having in Georgia and the delivery we have as the next governor of Georgia.
Brian Kemp, rebuttal.
Thank you. 30 seconds, Mr. Kemp.
Well, I would just tell people that, look, I support safety and justice. But Ms. Abrams refused to answer the question, so I'll let you know that the answer is 0. No sheriffs are endorsing her statewide because of her stances on wanting to
statewide
defund the police, eliminate cash bail, and serving on the boards of
on misdemeanor crimes.
Organizations like the Margaret Casey Foundation that supports and gives grants to organizations that are promoting the defund the police movement.
If I may respond, because he actually lied there.
Yes,
I do have the support of sheriffs, but unlike Mr. Kemp, I do not make it my plan to list every person who supports me. I have the support of sheriffs. I have the support of advocates.
Yeah, but they ain't statewide. He's talking about like big fat sheriffs.
The support of victims. I have the support of those who want to be treated fairly in our system. I have to have conversations with the entirety of Georgia. I don't have the luxury of being a part of a good old boys club where we don't focus on the needs of our people. And that is why my mission has been to
He's making a good face. That's good. Do that more of that face.
Put out very concrete plans explaining how I will serve justice, how I will serve safety, and how I will serve the citizens of the state of Georgia.
30 seconds, Brian Kemp.
Well, look, I would just tell people, I know Miss Abrams is upset and mad because these are
she is
things that she said. This is not me making this up. This is things that she said in interviews that she's done, and she's sitting on organizations that you can go look at the facts yourself. And that's why the men and
Google it. That'll work. Just tell them to Google
women
it.
in law enforcement want a governor that is going to stand with them, who has been with them, not only to have their back, but also stand shoulder to shoulder on things like civil unrest and going after street gangs and human traffickers.
Thank you very much. Stacey Abrams, you get the next question for Shane Hazel.
Mr. Hazel, Republicans and Democrats have raised the alarm over the rise in the Chinese Communist Party-backed companies purchasing American farmland. To date, they've purchased more than 1 million acres of farmland in the state of Georgia. Would you agree with Mike Pompeo that allowing those purchases in the state of Georgia is a sign of madness? And would you be concerned about the national security implications of the Chinese Communist Party purchasing this land with the support of the state of Georgia?
Oh, this is not the question he was expecting. He was expecting you look like Peter Thiel. Have you ever thought about living on an oil rig?
I see the setup for this question. I understand why it was projected at me. As libertarians,
we don't. What the fuck are you talking about?
We believe that you own your property and that the state can't take it away from you and
even if you're the Chinese Communist Party?
Can't sell it or can't determine who you sell it to. The CCP, obviously, which is going through its own internal unrest right now.
Are they?
I believe is probably purchasing this with things like central bank digital dollars and yuan, which are also coming down to a critical nature where people are in uprising in China.
This is good. You're doing great, man. Hey, man, swing for the fences. I'm on board. What?
What we need to look at is how these purchases are being made. Are we accepting fiat, CCP, yuan in Georgia as a actual currency?
Yeah, that did it. You know what? Boy, she's regretting opening this line of question. Don't doze off, Stacey. He's going to get something out of this.
It's about as good as the U.S. currency, the fiat.
Fuck you.
Currency that we're about to have hoisted on us in terms of a.
Hoisted on this? Motherfucker, you're a U.S. citizen. What the fuck you mean hoisted? Hoisted?
CBDC. I'm not going to tell you.
By the CBDC? Hold on, the who? Back the fuck up. Wait a minute. We got this long, but what the fuck?
We're about to have hoisted on us in terms of a CBDC. I'm not going to tell you or anybody else as governor how.
A central bank designated currency? Is that what he's talking about? Hey, shithead, you're running to be a governor of an American state. The fuck?
How or who to sell your property to. And I imagine that in the end, the free market will work itself out.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to sell America, if you can buy enough of America to sell it to the Russians, knock yourself the fuck out. That's a winning statement by that dude. You're done. You won it. It's definitely going into a runoff now.
Stacey Abrams, 30 seconds.
The state of Georgia is watching our farmland be purchased by the Chinese Communist Party. And while that is not normally a conversation that we have, it is something that we should be concerned about. Agriculture is our #1 industry, and Georgia has 13 military installations. The fact that the state of Georgia is working with the Chinese Communist Party, using one of their technologies that both Donald Trump and Joe Biden have warned is very much a national security threat, should be of great concern to every Georgian. This is not about being concerned simply about who's owning the land, but it's about how much access to our information they have because of this state.
By the way, hold on 1 second. I need to get somebody else to come in. Can I just say for the record, really fucking smart of her to bring up the CCP land purchase thing to like buffer against Kemp's bullshit, you're a commie stuff that's going to come up.
Thank you. Shane Hazel, you may ask your question of Stacey Abrams.
Or whoever.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. The military-industrial complex is a big problem. It is.
Yeah, it totally is. Especially, I mean, the Chinese government's military isn't. They should, we should basically pants ourselves and bend over in front of them. That as good libertarians.
And the fact that we have people trying to come here to, I don't know, get a backdoor into our military.
Hello.
I think one of the things we should be talking about as Georgians and as executives is the Defend the Guard Act, where our military has been used very, haphazardly around the world to go and take resources from the Middle East or now in
Mr.
Ukraine.
Hazel, your question.
This is my question to who?
To Stacey Abrams.
We've already switched gears.
Yes.
Oh, God. She was responding to your response. She got 30 seconds, stupid. And then they told you it was your turn. Fucking hell.
My question to you, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I have hearing problems, guys. My question to you is...
Okay, well, he's got a disability, and we'll treat him as such from this point on. And sorry to hear that.
I mentioned CBDCs.
Or he's just talking out of his ass.
As the executive of Georgia, when we come into a CBDC from the Federal Reserve, will you, as the executive, accept this CCCP style currency?
The U.S. dollars? You out of your fucking mind? What do you think, Georgia's going to get paid in gold coins? What are you, John Dick?
I believe that the conversation about currency is a complicated one. And part of the challenge we have is how this currency is transmitted, the very real security threats with digital currency, the hacking and mining of that digital currency should concern all Georgians. As the governor of Georgia, I will work very closely with the Federal Reserve, but also with the innovators and the entrepreneurs who do see an opportunity. But before we take a step forward that could put us at risk, our responsibility is to understand the complexity of what is happening with these transactions. And as exciting as it is, we also know it's deeply problematic when we do not have the adequate safeguards in place. That's one of the reasons I've raised concerns about WeChat and about
he's talking about cryptocurrencies and digital payments for shit.
Purchase of farmland. But what we know overall is that we need a governor who's conversant in these issues, who understands that, for example, in the state of Georgia, we have access to $3.5 billion in American currency that could be delivered tomorrow to save our hospitals and to save our lives. But our current governor has refused to accept those dollars. My intention is to do what's best for the state of Georgia every single day.
Thank you. Shane Hazel, you get a 30-second rebuttal.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Working with the Federal Reserve, who's got us into the mess that we are in right now.
By what? Printing
Because
money?
of a centralized fiat currency.
So you're just not going to use dollars?
It will be absolutely worthless. They will be dangling carrots in front of the governor, in front of the executives, in front of the legislature to do exactly what their mandates are. If they are mandating that they take the property of people, then they will do it. If they want to invade your homes, your privacy, your businesses, they will do it because of CBDCs.
All right. Stacey Abrams, please ask your question to Brian Kemp.
Absolutely. Mr. Kemp,
What's your fucking problem?
under your leadership, there is currently a 100-year gap between minority-owned businesses and majority-owned businesses. Although minorities comprise 48% of the population, they only generate 12.2% of the business revenue in the state. And under every analysis that we have seen, it will take 100 years to close that gap, given the current process that you have in place. You served 4 years in the Senate, 8 years as Secretary of State in charge of businesses. You served 4 years as governor. What are your concrete, specific, targeted plans to decrease and...
Shit, I must turn on country accent, deep country accent, go full Savannah.
Address the racial equity gap currently facing contracting and purchasing for minority-owned businesses.
Governor Kemp?
Well, I would remind Georgians that the first part of my plan was keeping our state open for business and allowing all business people and working Georgians to work when Stacey Abrams was criticizing me for doing that.
During COVID, because you don't want people, because dead people can't flip burgers.
Also pushing to get our kids back in the classroom. When again, Stacey Abrams was criticizing me for doing that. A lot of Georgians, including African Americans and other minorities, cannot go to work if their kids are not in the classroom.
Yeah, that's an extraordinary circumstance. That's fucking COVID. That doesn't explain the rest of the fucking decade.
We have the lowest unemployment rate in the country for African Americans.
Yes, they work extra hard and they make less money. That's kind of the point.
Also, we're named we're in the top 10 of the states for black entrepreneurship in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, because of Atlanta, motherfucker.
So our economy is incredible, and we will continue to work with all of those entrepreneurs. And
John in the chat says, I love when libertarians speak out loud for everyone to see how stupid they sound. It's fucking amazing. Libertarians are the dumbest motherfuckers in the political landscape.
In the days ahead, and working class Georgians, because we are the ones that have been fighting for you when Miss Abrams was not. We were giving tax refunds. We were doing tax cuts. We were suspending the gas tax to help you deal with 40-year high
with federal funds
inflation when she was criticizing us.
Stacey Abrams, 30-second rebuttal.
I would point out that Mr. Kemp did not address the needs of purchasing and contracts for black and brown owned businesses, which is what he has refused to do for the last 16 years. We know that $10.9 billion has been delivered to the state of Georgia through 2 recent acts at the congressional level. And Brian Kemp does not have a plan for making certain that people of color have access to those contracts, access to purchasing. It was only in July of this year that
Country Twang initiated.
He finally acknowledged that there might be a problem.
Operation Good Old Boy is a fail.
He has said that we need to study it. I would tell him just cheat off of my paper. I know the answer. We need a governor who actually believes in equity, racial equity, economic equity in the state of Georgia, and I will deliver.
Thank you. Shane Hazel, please ask your question to Brian Kemp.
Brian, in 2020, on April 2nd, you locked down Georgia, threatening peaceful people with force and coercion. You called people in Georgia non-essential, and it killed millions of jobs. You bent the knee to big pharma and pushed a vaccine that was untested on people, and it has killed people.
Operation Fart Steed.
They've lost their loved ones. You've allowed bureaucracy to invade our businesses.
Bureaucracy, which is bureaucracy with urine.
And then you had the audacity to brag about record tax revenue. You want to say sorry?
Record text revenue?
Sorry to anybody?
So is that a question, or?
That is a question. Do you want to say sorry to anybody?
Well, look, I'll be glad to talk about my record because obviously Mr. Hazel is gravely mistaken. If you look at the executive orders that I signed, we said every business in Georgia was essential. There was a few that we asked to help us stop the spread, flatten the curve, build PPE supplies and hospital bed capacities. Because unlike him, I was getting the calls from hospitals saying, hey, we are out of surgical gowns. We're out of masks. we need ventilators. And we were literally...
You didn't realize that that was a lie and that the earth is flat? But why don't we send rockets into the filament and so that we can stop the giant alien that has a cake dish over the whole world?
Working 24/7 to supply those items while also keeping our economy open in this state. And
you know how lucky Kemp is to have this dickhead next to him being like even dumber?
And as you know, I was the first state to open the small parts that we asked to close, and our recovery's been as good as any state in the country. We have had 2 record years of economic development because of our business environment, working with the General Assembly to make sure that we're putting Georgians first and Georgia businesses and Georgia workers first, and that's what I'm committed to continuing to do.
30 seconds, Mr. Hazel.
You should have put Georgia freedom first, period.
That's right. People should be able to swim in a flood if they want to. It's America.
Didn't have the power to lock down businesses. And you signed the executive order on April 2nd. It was clear as day. I sat there and watched you do it. And I was like, there is no coming back from this.
Yeah, Georgia is gone. I don't know if it's like Portland. It's vanished off the face of the earth. There is no Georgia. There are no Georgians left. These 3 people are the only people that are left.
The idea that
even the other people who are asking him questions had to be flown in. They were supposed to have more of those people, but all the Georgians are dead. So they have to ask each other questions.
I guess the default...
It is a cloach. That's right.
...was
fight the cloach.
...to lock down Georgia instead of trusting Georgians with their freedom to
pass an infectious disease to their neighbor.
Adapt in a time of very changing circumstances, I think is a tyrant move. And I think the left and right are fascist and communist socialists, whereas we're talking about real liberty, trusting Georgians with those decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Hazel. Brian Kemp, you have the final question in this round for Shane.
Three-piece suit, no tie. Really, dude? Really?
Shane Hazel.
Well, I would just ask Mr. Hazel if he supports the things that we have done because we were open and Georgians were working and we've had excess revenue. So instead of doing big government...
That's our tax money.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't support it because here's the thing is when we get to that point, when we talk about what you're doing...
ask my...
Finish your question.
Please go ahead.
I would just...
Yeah, go ahead. It's all stupid anyway, so I don't even know why I'm running for this. Government can't do anything. Also, by the way, understand that this dickhead is going to be siphoning MAGA votes from this dickhead. That's why he's like, I'm going to force a runoff. Stacey Abrams is going to be in the lead of that runoff.
Just say, do you support the tax cuts we've done, returning $1 billion of taxpayer money and suspending the gas tax for Georgians to help fight?
Dude, don't be an asshole. Ask him if he thinks fentanyl should be legalized. Just get it out of the way. What do you mean ask him about tax cuts? Motherfucker, he doesn't believe in taxes at all.
Through 40-year high inflation.
This is how dumb Kemp is.
And bad domestic energy policy.
Georgia, I hope you hear me when I say libertarians think taxation is theft. It's your
right. It's fucking stupid. It's your money. If you want to build a road, fucking do it.
money. It's your property.
If you want a bridge, get a fucking hammer and nail, motherfucker.
You should be able to determine what you do with it. I don't support the fact that you haven't ended qualified immunity. I don't support the fact that you haven't ended civil asset forfeiture. I don't support the fact that you haven't ended the drug war. You haven't ended nonviolent crime.
Why haven't you ended nonviolent crime? Why isn't that a priority? And do you consider tickling violence?
Cash bail. You haven't ended no-knock raids. You haven't implemented community review boards, and you haven't banned blacked-out cop cars that go after people for more money. It's
blacked-out cop cars going after people for more money. Yeah, I wish you people knew. You mean undercover?
ridiculous. De-escalation by the executive to leave peaceful people alone in the state of Georgia.
Yes, I'm running to governor so that we don't have a governor.
That's my message to both of you, to everybody in the state who wears a badge. Stop going after peaceful people.
Yes, wait until they're violent. Don't arrest them until after. Even if you can stop them in the middle of a murder, let the murderer finish and then arrest them.
Mr. Kemp, 30-second rebuttal.
Well, that's simply not true. As Georgians know, I have followed the laws and
Look at that. Stop answering him like he's a legit person. That's, ladies and gentlemen, this is what's called a gish gallop. This guy doesn't, nor could he actually implement any of those things. This is a farce.
The Constitution of this state. And I ran on going after
Captain QAnon ball over here.
Criminal street gangs, because I knew there was an issue in our state when other people wouldn't even talk about it and the media wouldn't acknowledge it. And you look at the amount of fentanyl that's coming across the southern border because of bad border policies from
and this guy wants to legalize it. Just say that. Get it out of the
this
fucking
administration. Every governor in the country is having to deal with that. So yes, I'm going to go after bad people that are selling bad drugs and killing our children and our other citizens.
Yes, but what about the good drugs?
It's a free market way to do that would be to allow cannabis and psilocybin to handle the mental health issues.
Allow cannabis and psilocybin to handle it. Just dump it on people. Put it in the drinking water. Take out the fluoride and put in the mushrooms.
I wasn't talking about cannabis. I was talking about deadly
Gentlemen,
Stop busting them then.
Gentlemen, we're going to move on. That concludes our second round. For those just joining us, this is the general election debate between candidates for governor. We will now go back to the panel to ask questions to the candidate of their choice until we run out of time. As a point of moderator privilege, I may also ask questions of the candidates, and I will determine when a rebuttal is appropriate. And I'm going to use that moderator privilege right away to ask some education questions. Mr. Kemp, if reelected, you've said you'll push for $65 million dedicated to fighting pandemic learning loss, hiring more counselors, and recruiting teachers to fill shortages. How do you respond to those who say you should have prioritized those academic-related issues over laws dealing with divisive concepts, parental laws, and obscene books in the past legislative session, even those who were pushing?
Well, Marge, we can, if I could throw on my southern accent for a minute, we could... It don't make people think I can't walk and burn books at the same time.
For those laws, in the end, say they don't have much teeth.
Well, look, we have been pushing for those things. You can talk to school superintendents around the state. We have worked with them really over the last year and a half, 2 years on learning loss. We've been keeping debt gas prices down in school heating by burning books on a giant bonfire to keep students warm. Do you want students to freeze to death during summer school? I don't think so. And working with our superintendents and other education groups, we passed 2 different pieces of legislation dealing with the teacher pipeline, which is getting more teachers into the system. Our plan is working with higher education, including our HBCUs and others, to make sure we're getting more of the right people and more of them in the classroom to help mentor our children. This is really just the next step.
Did he say mentor or mental?
In the process, we are funding K through 12 education in this state more than we ever have per pupil, ever. And that's coming off a recession during the middle of a global pandemic. This includes my promised teacher pay raise of $5,000 that we completed in my first full term, despite having to deal with 2 years of a global pandemic and a recession. So I think
candemic is great. That's way to be positive, dude. Just say candemic.
It's incredible.
We're turning this pandemic into a candemic. Come on, everybody. Get up off those ventilators and come out. Get up. Are you going to turn him over? He can't move? Okay, I'll just go then.
What we've been doing, but make no mistake, we have more work to do, and I'm committed to doing that.
Thank you. Shane Hazel, would you tell us your education plan?
I think people should be able to educate themselves. As libertarians, people should have the freedom to be dumb as shit.
Yeah, it's to put it in the hands of the private sector. The government education system that came from Prussia in the 1700s has obviously failed America.
It came from Prussia in the 1700s. Did you go to public schools, asshole? Of course you did.
We don't understand economics. We don't understand our civil culture. We don't understand a whole lot about what goes on behind the scenes in politics.
Yeah, why isn't there a class on backroom deals?
The idea that we want to privatize everything as libertarians is good for education. Think about Walmart having a monopoly on force to teach your children.
Think about Walmart having a monopoly on force to teach your... They don't. They don't. There's no monopoly on fucking force. You can go to a private school or a religious school. It just has to be accredited so they don't turn out useless dumbasses.
It's insane. The idea...
Yes, that's insane. Yes. Walmart teaching children would be insane. And that's exactly what you're suggesting.
The idea that we do this with a government has side effects.
Why the fuck are you running for governor then, dumb fuck? Why not start a big private school organization? That's what drives me crazy about most Republicans, much less libertarians.
We see them on a daily basis. We need to get government out of education. We need to allow parents to seek out the best education for their kids.
And if they can't afford it, they should just not fucking have kids or suffocate them or something.
And we also believe that they have the responsibility to do so. So to help fix this nation, start here in Georgia, is get the government and the admin out of the classroom and get it out of our lives. Thank you.
What do you mean? Is that, as governor of Georgia, I will shut down all public schools? That's basically, is that it? Fucking hell.
Thank you. Ms. Abrams, in education, you propose a boost in teachers' pay, more state-paid preschool slots for lower-income children and their families, and more. If you win the governor's race, you'll likely have Republican majorities in both chambers. Given what we know about partisan divisions, how will you get your education proposals passed and funded?
Well, I don't think they want our children to be stupid and wandering around the streets high on psilocybin mushrooms and not able to read a stop sign like this bald motherfucker over here. So as long as there's some relatively Kempish people in there, I think we can have a conversation.
So let's begin with what my proposals are. Georgia is sitting on a $6.6 billion surplus. That's money that we have after we've paid every bill, after we've put 15% aside for, say, a rainy day fund. That is money that after we've accounted for increases in population. And I want to invest it in our children and in our families, beginning with making certain that we have pre-K slots. We have 4-year-olds on a waiting list. I've never met a 4-year-old who waits to turn 5. But we can solve that problem with the money we have right now.
Great line.
We can also give an $11,000 pay raise to our teachers instead of a $5,000 pay raise on layaway. We can make certain that we are increasing access to the pipeline because teachers aren't in the pipeline because they can't make enough money to take care of themselves and their families. And that is why under...
Please tell me the libertarian dude just did a bong hit and is coughing because
this governor, we have a 67% retention rate. Any other CEO who lost more than 30% of their workforce would be fired. And that is why my plan is to use the resources we have today to plan for today and tomorrow. We've got the money, and we have economists in Georgia and national economists who have looked at my plan, and they say it works. Check my plan out at StaceyAbrams.com. Check my math. It works.
Thank you. 30.
By the way, for the record, awesome answer. And what she's doing right, you could take a class from Stacey Abrams on how she's handling this. She's not taking the bait from any of these assholes. She's got a well-designed response, and she's there to sell herself as a candidate, not just get into a snipe fight with these two dickheads. It's really smart, and it points to somebody who'd be a really good governor.
Seconds.
Yeah, I'd just like to let people know that, look, my plan is to use the revenue that we have because we've been open. If Stacey Abrams had been your governor over the last 4 years, you wouldn't have that excess revenue because she wanted the state to stay locked down and criticize me when I opened it back up.
Yeah, and what's she going to do when the next pandemic of a century comes along in 65 years after we've got RNA vaccines? Fuck.
We have, in fact, been using this revenue, and will do so in the future, to do another income tax refund and put the money back in your pocket. We're also going to do a property tax relief grant, one time, that helps you with rising property values
and he's talking to you, CCP.
Rising property taxes that the counties are not rolling back.
Thank you very much.
If I may respond, because
30 seconds.
This is going to go back and forth between the Democrats and the Republicans. If they keep attacking each other, I'm going to say
we've got to move on. Ms. Abrams, 30 seconds.
For
Mr. Hazel, we've got to move on.
We're not going to be excluded from this.
We? Who's we, Mr. Royal We?
Excluding you, but he did refer to her, so we are going to have her speak.
Yeah, the rules apply to you. Unfortunately, that's anti-libertarian. This is anti-freedom. Rules in and of themselves are a fucking mistake.
Speak first.
That's why I want to be governor, so I can eliminate all government activity.
You're going to take money and property from people that don't even attend your schools because they don't agree with them.
We want to move on. Ms. Abrams?
I want to point out 3 things that were inaccurate. 1, I urged caution because any leader should privilege the lives of those they serve. 38,000 people died in Georgia. We have one county where 1 in every 100 Hancock County residents perished under this governor. And so, yes, I urge caution. But I also urge good math. We have the money in our accounts to do what is right. Money not delivered by Brian Kemp, money delivered by federal Democrats, and money that is delivered by hardworking Georgians who have generated the surplus, and they deserve investments in their lives. And the income taxes that we keep hearing about, 50,000 people are getting $500 million. The rest of us are going to see $193.
Thank you.
That is not a good return on investment.
Shane Hazel, 30 seconds, please.
It's
and then we have
stolen money.
to move on.
All of it's stolen money.
Yes, taxes are useless. We need to shut down the federal and state governments so that get a promise from the Chinese and the Russians and the Saudis and the Iranians and the Eastern European former Soviet socialist republics to do the same thing.
From people who have property. The fact that we have property tax in America has got to be one of the most un-American things I've ever heard of. There are a lot of us at homeschool because we don't believe in the government school
You sound homeschooled, I'm just saying.
System. And we are still fleeced every year to the tune of thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, because if you have a business, you benefit from the other people who don't and don't have time or the ability to homeschool, you privileged prick. So the reason you don't die driving through regular intersections all the time is because people can read and they were taught by the state.
To pay for a broken school system that we don't agree with. That's right. Both of you guys.
You benefit from it all the time. Just because you take something for granted doesn't mean it's granted in the first place.
With all due respect, Ms. Abrams called me out again.
All right.
About these.
30 seconds, and then we really are.
And I've all used my draws as I can say like 9 words in 25 seconds.
We're going to move on.
But the federal money that we're able to use right now and spend is because our state was open. And we didn't have to use this federal money to backfill state revenues, which has put us in an incredible position to move forward in our state.
Mr. Kemp, we're one of several states that have had the same exact experience. It is disingenuous to claim
not having a conversation.
We're going to move on.
It's the people's money.
We're going to.
It's the people's money. Yes, exactly. And we democratically elect people to guide some of that money to keep our society functioning and modern.
Move on, gentlemen, and Ms. Abrams. Greg Bluestein, you have the next question.
Ms. Abrams, I want to go back to one of Donna's underlying questions, which is the how issue.
Absolutely.
You've staked out dozens of policy proposals that would have to win approval from lawmakers, including Medicaid expansion, including several of the proposals you outlined here today. But it's highly likely the legislature will remain in Republican control. Yes. How are you going to win approval of these?
Spherical man, yeah. Mr. Sovereign Citizen is throwing off Andrew Tate Vines. I guarantee he watches all those
measures when in the face of staunch Republican opposition.
Well, I don't actually believe there is staunch Republican opposition. I served in the legislature for 11 years, and every day during my tenure, I worked across the aisle to get good done. They put it in my title. I was minority leader, meaning I couldn't win unless I could work with others. That is why I'm the only person I know of who got an A rating from the Georgia Chamber of Commerce and the Friend of Labor Award for the same work in the same year. The work that I do is working with people to find out how we get solutions. Medicaid expansion is a perfect example. We have 19 hospitals at risk of closure, joining the 6 hospitals that have closed under this governor. We are sending a Brinks truck of $3.5 billion of our money to Kentucky, to Louisiana, to Ohio, because this governor will not accept the money. And the resources that we need in our state will come to our state when we have leaders willing to work across the aisle to bring our money home. But it's more important than that. It's about how do we take care of our families? How do we make certain that we're addressing high housing prices? How do we tackle the issue of gun violence? How do we support our freedoms and protect our people? And we need a governor who can do the math, but also do the morality of making sure we take care of every single Georgian.
Thank you, Ms. Abrams. Governor Kemp, you have 30 seconds.
Well, I would just say that one way we deal with gun violence is to take the bad.
Why is he not wearing overalls?
People that are doing the shootings and lock them up and not in cash bail like Miss Abrams wants to do.
For nonviolent misdemeanors.
But listen, she's also said that the silver bullet on health care is Medicaid expansion, adding 650,000 people. Well, there's been 600,000 people added to the Medicaid rolls since I become governor. And the problem is it's a broken government program that she wants the government decide your health care that will also kick 200,000 private citizens off their private sector health care.
Thank you.
If I may respond.
30-second rebuttal.
Just talk about
he
this.
Called her name. Ms. Abrams, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
This is ridiculous.
Number one, Medicaid expansion will allow 500,000 Georgians who are working people to get access to health care. That is a good thing in a state where we have people dying every day from cancer, from issues with health, issues with diabetes, issues with heart disease. But number two, the 600,000 people that he references who are on Medicaid, they are put there because of the public health emergency. And when that ends, they will lose health care, which will add more people.
Yeah, that is true.
Who are on the streets unable to get health care. Under this governor, we've lost 6 hospitals. We have ambulance wait times that are excessive, and our people need relief, and they need their...
Meanwhile, the libertarian guy goes, you shouldn't be waiting for an ambulance. You should get up and walk to the fucking hospital like an American.
I
would like to weigh in.
We want to give our panelists a chance to ask more questions. So, Chuck Williams, it is your turn to ask a question, Mr.
It's insane.
Governor, the Democrats have controlled the U.S. Senate for 2 years because Georgia shifted from 2 Republicans to 2 Democrats in January of 2021. One of those seats was held by Kelly Loeffler, a person you appointed to that post. She then lost to Senator Warnock. Do you wish you had made a different choice when you selected Kelly Loeffler?
No.
Well, no, not at all. I mean, I was
like, what the fuck is he gonna say?
excited about her candidacy. I know she worked extremely hard. It was
smart,
a very
but
challenging environment in 2020. And I think it goes to the point that in 2020, watching that election, I learned a lot of lessons. You know, a lot of the things that we haven't been doing with the ground game from a political perspective, we are now doing.
Yeah, we thought it'd be just enough to stop people, the other side, from voting. We got to push to start voting on our side.
Ensure that when we're campaigning, that we're making sure what we know the differences are with the candidates, but also we got to be for something. And what I'm for is doing another $1 billion tax rebate, for doing property tax relief grants, for continuing to strengthen rural Georgia and run rural broadband like we have been doing, that we started this.
Fuck you, rural broadband. That's Biden's program, you dick.
Program long before the pandemic hit. Doing economic development projects where 74% of the investment of over $30 billion over the last 2 record years is going to rural Georgia. Over half the 80,000 jobs that are going with those projects outside the 10 metro counties in rural Georgia. And I'm committed to doing that in the future.
Mr. Hazel, if you would like to have 30 seconds, you may.
Thank you very much. The state of Georgia...
The problem is that we've got a government at all.
Needs a governor who understands econ. The
Econ.
$100 trillion of unfunded liability in this country, as a veteran, understanding that we have a veterans healthcare system that is in shambles. They treat you as a liability, and they will throw pills at you every chance they get. They won't actually address your health. There is no way on earth we're going to expand that to the rest of the 99% of the country. It's a fairy tale, and it doesn't exist. That's why the economy is collapsing, because they continue to print trillions and trillions of dollars.
Oh, fuck this dude.
And hike interest rates at the same time.
Thank you very much.
And hike interest rates at the same time. You can't do both, you dumb son of a bitch.
That are going to do this.
Literally, you don't. That's the whole point. Quantitative tightening is caused by raising interest rates. Oh my fucking God, this guy. People gotta understand econ. Shut the fuck up.
Thank you. Jennifer Bellamy, it's your turn to ask.
This is so aggravating.
This question is for each of you. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing Georgia and Georgians, and how do you think it should be addressed? What will you do as governor to address that challenge?
Let's start with you, Stacey Abrams.
Gang crime is up. Gun violence is up. Housing prices have skyrocketed. Equity investors
they're coming down, though.
Have purchased 30% of the homes in the state of Georgia.
They're selling.
We have 1.4 million people without health insurance who cannot see a doctor when they need one. We live in a state of fear. And this is a governor who, for the last 4 years, has beat his chest but delivered very little for most Georgians. He has weakened gun laws and flooded our streets. He has.
By the way, Scott Moore says Shane would have had a better shot at coherency if he took a page out of Perot's book and brought charts and graphs. You can't. They don't allow props anymore, as we found out with the Herschel Walker case.
Weakened our privacy rights and women's rights. He has denied women the access to reproductive care. The most dangerous thing facing Georgia is 4 more years of Brian Kemp. We need a governor who actually understands the math and the morality. We need to understand that, yes, we have veterans, like Mr. Hazel pointed out, who can't get access to health care in part because they're not fully covered by VA benefits and will only get health insurance if we expand Medicaid. We have seniors who are being forced out of their homes because
she took his talking point away and hit him with it.
This governor refuses to address the issue of housing crises. In fact, he told an audience that he didn't want to upset investors by giving local authorities control over housing prices, letting them address the issues. We need a governor who will do more for more Georgians.
I want to give each one of them a chance to answer Jennifer's question. Shane Hayes.
The biggest problem facing us is the economy, but to quote the great
Tell us how.
Rothbard, the man who puts all the guns and all of the decision-making power into the hands of a central government and then says, limit yourself, is he truly the impractical utopian? The idea that the economy isn't the biggest problem that we have in Georgia is because people don't understand economics.
Yeah, you stupid Georgian voters, you dumb sons of bitches.
These guys don't understand economics from Republicans or Democrats, or else we wouldn't be in the hole that we're in terms of trillions and trillions of dollars.
I guarantee this dumb motherfucker has a mortgage.
What we need to do is get back to basics, Austrian economics, where we get rid of this cancer that has invaded every transaction that
usury
we have through a fiat.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Rewind that? Yeah.
What we need to do is get back to basics, Austrian economics, where we get rid of this cancer that has invaded every transaction that we have through a fiat currency system.
Again, what this motherfucker thinks is the governor of Georgia, he's going to put us back on the gold standard? The fuck is he talking about?
Creating freedom for everybody in Georgia is the default position.
Yes, freedom means having enough gold on hand to make transactions happening. This
not more government, not more programs, not more policies, not more point at the barrel.
No more. Yeah, the last thing we need is a governor.
Barrel of a gun, force and coercion. It is freedom.
All right.
What the fuck does that mean?
Brian Kemp, your answer to the question.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm caught in like a dumb haze. There's a smoke coming off this motherfucker that I don't understand. Can you ask the question again? Because literally that was just fucking gibberish.
Since I didn't get a rebuttal after being called out, would just let Jordans know again that my record's being attacked because Miss Abrams doesn't want to talk about her own record. If you look at what the state of Georgia and our First Lady,
your governor, she isn't.
Marty Kemp has done to raise the awareness on ending human trafficking, going after the perpetrators and supporting the victim, as well as us working with the General Assembly to give Medicaid benefits to birthing mothers up to a year after having that child and other things, shows you our state
and other things
that we value life and that we care. But in the future, my focus is going to be what it was when I opened the debate, and that is helping you fight through 40-year high inflation and disastrous policies in Washington, D.C.
How?
I would remind you that Stacey Abrams campaigned to be Joe Biden's running mate. She supports these policies that have raised taxes on hardworking Americans and Georgians when they promised they would not. We're working with the General Assembly to help you fight through that by suspending the gas tax and giving your money back.
Thank you very much.
Pocket.
Thank you very much. Greg, your next question.
Governor, I want to stay with you and talk about.
Like the libertarian dude should just every time go, fucking hell, like every time they ask
That's something
somebody else a
that
question.
just came up in the last exchange a little bit. Earlier today, you rolled out a new public safety plan that offers a crackdown, promotes a crackdown on criminal offenses. What it doesn't specifically address is gun violence. Your critics say that your permissive gun policy.
That's because there's no such thing. The only thing that can stop a good guy with a gun is an even gooder guy with a gun. And there are no bad guys with guns. If you have a gun, you're a good guy in my book. Is there applause or should I wait? I'll just assume at the end when they applaud, they were applauding that.
Policies will only lead to more crime. What do you propose you will do in a second term if you're reelected to address gun-related crimes?
Well, again, we're going after the people that are doing these gun-related crimes. I mean, and that's what we're doing, going after street gangs in this regard. You know, during the pandemic, when I was talking to people about how we were responding and what we were dealing with,
I couldn't understand them because they were wearing masks.
I was hearing from educators and athletic directors and other people saying, Governor, we got to get our kids back in the classroom. Because
it's weird you weren't talking to the people who were saying we can't because it's not healthy. Weird. Isn't that interesting? Nobody finds out.
We're losing them. We're going to lose them a decade of children.
No, we're not.
Because these kids that we're recruiting when they're 13, 14, 15 years old to be on the ball field or be in the band or be on the robotics team or what have you, extracurricular activity, they're being recruited by street gangs because they're not in the classroom. So those are the kind of things that we are focused.
Maybe if the state wasn't open at the same time the schools were closed, never mind.
Focused on to make sure that these kids are under the right environment. And my new public safety plan is stiffening.
That's the problem. And new street gangs are always scooping up the kids in robotics club.
Penalties for gang members that are recruiting our children. And I believe that most Georgians support that. And I'm committed to working with all law enforcement to make a dent there.
Thank you. Chuck Williams.
A dent.
This is for Governor Kemp and Ms. Abrams.
And not the libertarian guy, because we've heard enough gibberish tonight.
Columbus, Macon, Atlanta, and other communities have benefited from a Georgia State Patrol task force that has helped augment police coverage in those cities and some others over the last year. What can be done to make sure that local agencies that are short on officers can handle these policing duties without having to rely on the state? Ms. Abrams?
Well, you actually asked Mr. Kemp.
I said for both. Okay,
yeah, it's for both.
Governor.
Yeah, look, I'm glad that answered that question. The crime suppressing unit that I asked Colonel Wright to put together during civil unrest when I grew tired of local elected political leaders that wouldn't let their local law enforcement go after dangerous people during civil unrest, that had no chase policies, where street racers and street gangs are terrorizing our citizens. I told Colonel Wright I wanted a plan.
Colonel Wright. Who doggy?
I wanted to know how much it's going to cost, and I want to know who we're going to work with. And so that's why the State Patrol, GBI, Department of Natural Resources, game wardens, working with the Fulton County Sheriff, who's helped us with jail facilities, the Atlanta Police Department, we went and put a plan together to start going after street racers and going.
By the way, I'm Colonel Wright. Hey, I helped him put this whole thing together, and we going after them street racers on horseback. Whew.
After violent criminals and have more boots on the ground.
The chocolate and the smooth, all in one treat.
We've done the same thing in Columbus. We've done it in Macon. We've done it in Savannah, and we'll do it wherever we're needed. This is not our job. We're using funds from the governor's emergency
fund. Just say fund.
A fund to help.
Thank you. See, that was easy. It's a really simple word. One syllable, starts with an F-U.
Pay for these dollars, and thankfully the General Assembly supports that because we've been in the fight when others were not.
Thank you. Ms. Abrams.
Street gangs did not shoot 6 Asian women going into a gun store, getting a weapon, and murdering women in less than an hour. Street gangs aren't the reason people are getting shot in grocery stores and in parking lots and at schools. Street gangs...
Yeah, but, I mean, that we don't care about those.
Gangs are one part of the problem, but we have a governor who has weakened gun laws across this state, flooded our streets with guns by letting dangerous people get access to those weapons. Georgia does not have a waiting period. We do not have universal background checks. And one of the few permits that we had that was helping keep us safe stopped 5,000 people who should not have had weapons from getting them.
I feel seen.
Got weakened by this governor with his criminal carry law. As the next governor, my intention would be to actually give the people who do 90% of law enforcement the support they need. We know that they have asked for at least $136 million so they can recruit and retain officers.
That's right. And the uniforms are expensive, especially mine, because I have to let them out in the crotch.
I am the only candidate who's put in place a plan for at least $25 million in grants, not loans, to go to these local law enforcement officers so they can recruit and retain officers.
I'm starting to like this woman. I did not intend to, but she sounds all right. These are new failings, and I'm having a hard time dealing with them. Be gentle.
So that their officers aren't working 2 or 3 jobs simply to make ends meet.
Thank you. Before your rebuttal, Governor Kemp.
No, let the libertarian guy say we shouldn't have cops on the street. Just come on. It won't take him long. Just let him say cops are violence and we should just let people work it out for themselves. Like think about homeschooling but with guns.
Shane Hazel,
Thank
you
you
may
very much.
respond to this question.
Yeah, tell him, Shane.
You keep going back to guns, Stacey.
Yeah, she keeps going back to guns. Guns don't kill people. Government kills people.
I think it's going to be your undoing here in Georgia. Georgia, we're going to have less and less gun laws, whether it's under Republicans or libertarians.
Yes, we don't need gun laws, okay? You should have the freedom to murder as long as you kill somebody with a gun. It's these knife fuckers we got to...
Libertarians don't believe in any gun laws. We believe that you know how to best protect you and your property. And the biggest mass murderer in history is government. It's...
Yikes. The biggest mass murderer in history is government. Obviously, this fella is not familiar with the Catholic Church in the 15th century.
Not private citizens. Most private citizens, like I said before, go throughout their day without doing any harm to any...
Because the government does the shooting for them, you dumb motherfucker. Okay, look. If we didn't have police officers, you bet your ass private citizens would do most of the... Have you ever watched an episode of Kung Fu where there hasn't been a woman living all on her lonesome with 2 children in the middle of fucking nowhere that doesn't have to shoot somebody with a long rifle? Motherfucker.
Anybody. However, the people in the government with all of the guns...
Right. And laws about how they use them instead of just rando fuckheads.
Still go after people with a badge when they shouldn't have to. In Holly Springs, Georgia...
What?
I introduced the Helios Initiative, where we got rid of civil asset forfeiture. It was a one-page bill through decentralization, nullification, using the Constitution that made the officers in Holly Springs safer because they don't have to go out there and they don't have to harass people of color while driving while black. They don't have to go out there and look for...
They can't do anything, you dumb motherfucker.
Drugs. They don't have...
You know, the dangerous part about being a police officer is doing police work. So I saved a lot of police officers' lives by having them not actually enforce laws. Genius.
Go out there and do any of these things.
Yeah, like fighting crime. It's very dangerous.
Because civil asset forfeiture is also the government stealing more than criminals, hardened criminals, from anybody and everybody in...
No, yes, I disagree. The government should not steal hardened criminals. They should give them due process and put them in fucking jail.
The state of Georgia.
Thank you. Governor Kemp, 30 seconds.
Well, thank you. I would just let people at home know the largest, fastest growing segment of the population that's buying handguns and firearms is African Americans.
Uh-huh.
And females. You know why?
Because their lives are in danger?
Because the criminals...
Because of assholes like that dude who are allowing criminals in different counties throughout the state to operate with impunity?
Are the only ones that do have the guns. Yeah.
No. If you dump guns, people are going to have to defend themselves because there won't be enough guns to go around. Oh,
have local governments that are holding up concealed weapon permits that are keeping law-abiding citizens from being able...
From concealing their guns.
To simply use their Second Amendment right to protect themselves.
To open fire in Whole Foods parking lots, as they are wont to do.
And their property and their families. I will certainly support that.
Thank you. Mr. Hazel, may I respond?
Yes, 30 seconds.
Let's be clear. I believe that we can protect the Second Amendment and protect second graders at the exact same time. That means that, yes, more people are buying guns, but that's because they think that's the only way to protect themselves because guns have flooded our streets. These are communities that want to be safe. They don't want to have to carry weapons. I know how to shoot. My great-grandmother taught me. But I know that the person who is most responsible is the person who holds the weapon. And that is why I will quote Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. And because of the criminal carry law that Brian Kemp signed into law, there is no longer a background check for those who have concealed carry permits.
That sound you hear is both of their dicks shrinking. Just in case there was that, you guys heard that kind of sound like like the tiny sound of like a mouse squeal and the twist of leather, like a leather strap. That was the sound of Kemp and Hazel's penis is shrinking.
Makes all of us less safe.
How are you going to take the guns?
Don, if I could respond.
How is she going to take the guns? That's a great
really
question.
want to move on.
Well, there is a federal background check. There's a federal background check on every individual that buys a firearm in the United States of America.
Which shouldn't exist
No,
either.
That is not.
Where the dude's like, hey, we shouldn't even check people. If you want a gun, buy a fucking gun. You're probably going to use it on yourself. Problem solved.
Well, the point, I understand.
That's not true.
I understand the point you're making, but
no, dude, you don't. I came in here on your side. Now I'm on hers. I don't know how it happened. It's weird. Again, it's an odd feeling, but I'm okay.
Point is, when you buy a firearm, you get a background check.
Mr. Kemp,
and the libertarian dude hates it. Just for the record,
none of the laws
More
changed.
Mr. Kemp, if you
more, that motherfucker said more tyranny.
purchase a weapon in Georgia through a gun sale or a private sale,
Well,
through a
Mr.
gun
Abrams,
show or a
I
private
haven't-
sale, you're
I
not
haven't-
subject to that.
We're going to have to move.
But just for the record, no guns were allowed in the room at this debate, and the libertarian dude is still upset about that.
Interrupted you tonight. And
I apologize.
Candidates, we have
It's a background check.
to move on. I'm going to allow Jennifer to ask what's going to be the final question in this round.
And it's not going to go to the libertarian dude, and it's going to make him all mad.
A study recently showed frustration among our nation's teachers with political interference into education, with issues like COVID-19 and critical race theory presenting additional challenges to a profession that's already dealing with low pay, falling interest, and
Please ask the libertarian dude. He'll just say, no public schools, and move on.
people leaving. What would you do specifically as governor to recruit, retain, and empower educators for schools across the state of Georgia?
Okay, now they're just fucking with the libertarian dude.
For each of you.
Shall I?
All right, we'll start with you, Ms. Abrams.
And let me again apologize to Mr. Kemp for interrupting. This is a very important topic to me, and I apologize for my outburst. I will say that when it comes to education, we know.
And I'm also very sorry that Brian Kemp is a little bitch and can't take it. Can I throw that in there? No? Okay. I'm not speaking on her behalf. That's just my own personal feeling.
Teachers are leaving the workforce. We have a 67% retention rate, but 70% of our teachers have said they would not recommend teaching to their colleagues.
67, 70% of that 30%, 70%. So 30% would leave, but they wouldn't take anybody with them. Okay.
That is because of low pay, because of overregulation, because of high stress, and because they believe that they are being told to teach to a curriculum that does not reflect the values and needs of our students. When a teacher is told that you have to lie to a child, which is what happened with the divisive language, the divisive concepts legislation, teachers are not being able to teach the whole history of our students.
Well, you can't teach from a book that's on fire. I'm just saying, it's not safe.
They're not able to tell their children what they need to know.
This book is literally burning in my hands up. It's a hot book. It's hot. This shit is hot.
As the next governor of Georgia, I will repeal those laws. I will increase pay, and I will make certain that all of our teachers can start and continue through their time well paid and well protected and well supported by the government.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so only 45 seconds. So, Brian Kemp?
Well, I would just say this is exactly why I did the $5,000 teacher
It's pronounced exactly.
pay raise that I ran on in 2018. We've also done a Parents' Bill of Rights to have parents fully engaged with their schools to make sure that they know what's happening in their kids.
Cop out, motherfucker.
Quite honestly, people are tired of their kids being indoctrinated in the classroom. But we've also...
Where the hell are they supposed to be indoctrinated? At libertarian summer camp? It's just a bunch of people in the woods setting their kids loose.
So work with our educators on these pieces of legislation to make sure that they make good common sense.
Good old common sense, which is largely uncommon and therefore needs to be taught.
But I would also tell you that people are tired of these issues like
they're exhausted.
Not having fairness in girls' sports and other things. And quite honestly, it's woken a lot of people up. So we got to
He said woke.
continue to have good conversations like we've done
He actually said woken people up, but never mind.
with our teacher pipeline legislation.
Not to be confused with walking people up, which is very different if you think about it.
Like we're doing with helping 9,000 parapros get fully certified to be in the classroom.
Thank you
helping our
very
kids.
much. Shane Hazel.
Parapro? You mean like paranormal psychologists? Oh, dear God. Are Atlanta schools haunted? Film at 11.
You get 45 seconds.
Your question raises a lot of interesting points. A lot of these teachers, like my own wife, has left the profession of teaching to homeschool, to go to
Really? I'm shocked.
private school, to do something
To start an M. Night Shyamalan-like village.
outside of this narrative where admin from the federal government and the state government is forcing them to teach things they don't want to teach to test. They can't stand.
Yeah, like math and science, and not cool things like econ and space stuff.
The administration who makes six figures, it is bloated. It has absolutely gotten out of control. We need to nullify property tax. We need to let people get out of the system. We need to.
They can buy land in other states.
Allow the private sector to work, because before education was put under the thumb of government here, we had some of the brightest, most well-read people in the entire world.
That's because the whole fucking world was illiterate. You're talking about the 1800s, you dumb motherfucker. We were one of the few countries that could afford fucking books.
And that's what we need to bring back.
All right.
What the fuck? You're shitting me, right? Come on now. Come on. That motherfucker's... Before we had public education, we had some of the smartest people in the world. Because most people were banging rocks together back then, you dumb son of a bitch. What? Shit.
Thank you very much. We are running out of time. So
boy, are we.
That is all the time we have for questions.
Well, then I guess we did run out of time.
Each candidate will now have only 40 seconds for a closing statement.
That's not enough. That's what you're taking my freedom.
And Brian Kemp, you get the first closing statement.
Yes, ladies first.
Well, first of all, let me thank the Atlanta Press Club for having us. When I ran for governor in 2018,
they kissed my rosy red ass.
I promised to put hard-working Georgians first ahead of the status quo and the politically correct. I said shortly after being sworn
Head of the politically correct. Oh, you mean polite people? I see.
in, I would work hard as your governor every single day for all Georgians, whether you voted for me or not.
Come on
I'm
now.
so optimistic about the future of our state. The lowest unemployment rate in the history of the state, the most people working, and
sorry. Deanne says, in between the cover and end of Beloved isn't the place for marshmallows and chocolate book s'mores. Yeah, well, that's how we make s'mores. Cook them off a book.
economic opportunity in all parts of our state, no matter your zip code or neighborhood. Stacey Abrams said Georgia's the worst state in the country to live. Well, Marty, the girls, and I disagree.
Marty? Oh, Marty's his wife. I thought he was calling her Marty all of a sudden. That was weird.
Think Georgia's the greatest state in the country to live, work, and raise our children, and that's why.
Yeah, you would feel that as the governor because you have a really nice house. Best in the state in some ways.
I'm asking for your vote and support to keep it that way. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. Stacey Abrams, 40 seconds.
I, too, want to thank everyone tonight for your support. And I want to point out that Brian Kemp did make promises. He promised to keep us safe, but crime has gone up. He promised to protect us, and yet he's attacked our freedoms. He has promised to take care of our families, and yet the rising prices in Georgia are rising because he refuses to expand Medicaid, because he refuses to tackle the affordable housing crisis that we have, and he's sitting on $400 million of our money that he will not spend to keep us under roofs and in our homes. As the next governor, I want us to have more money in our pockets, more protections in our lives, more freedoms in our days, and more opportunity in our communities. I see all of Georgia, and as the next governor, it would be my intention to serve all of Georgia. I encourage you to go to my website, StaceyAbrams.com, and please make a plan to vote, and know that I'm asking you for your vote tonight.
Thank you.
That was pretty simple, pretty direct. She dropped her website. She got everybody, she motivated to get out the vote. That's part of her fucking brand. Now, the rest of us are all really excited about the libertarian guy whose biggest challenge, I think, is getting people to vote for him to be governor of the government of a state that he thinks shouldn't exist. Not just the governance itself, but of the state borders. Like, you do realize that, right? Like, he doesn't think Georgia should exist.
Thank you. Shane Hazel, you get the final 40-second closing statement.
This is going to be good. I'm excited, man. Come on.
Georgia, you are essential.
Yeah. Don't listen to who said shit.
We are in changing times. Technology, money, politics.
I'm your cryptocurrency guru. Come touch my head for good luck.
Are all changing incredibly fast.
And you're too stupid to keep up. That's why you need somebody who knows econ.
As humans, our superpower is our ability to adapt to a changing world.
Yeah, that's not a superpower. That's just, by the way, can I switch over to, I feel like I need to look more, hold on. I got a beard or something. Where's this? This'll do. That's the closest I got. I don't have a full fucking beard. Shane Hazel. I don't know. I wish I had something that looked a little more. How about this one? Shane, you like this? Hey, man. Shane Hazel. Probably don't like me at all. Come on. Wait, I got one looks just like him. Hold on. Okay, go for it, Shane. Tell us what's up, buddy.
This power to adapt, our passion and genius is unleashed when it is free.
You goddamn right.
Free from tax, free from government.
Free from everything. Free from Georgia. Georgia is the existence of Georgia is a slave state.
There are lockdowns, free from government mandates.
Free from government at all. That's why, as your governor, my first act will be to shut down the actual government in every way.
And free from force.
My mustache keeps coming and going. I don't know what the fuck's happening.
And coercion. You know best how to adapt and run your life, and that is your right to do so.
That's right.
It is time peaceful people were free to take on the challenges we face.
That's right. And violent people are allowed to as well. I got to put this, got to be a little bit better. Come on now. All right. Tell me what's up, man. Come on. That's right. I'm part of his libertarian club, man. We do this kind of like male bonding butt bongo thing that we do every week. And we all get together it's like a drumming circle. We all watch Andrew Tate videos and then touch each other on the taint. It's Andrew Tate night at the bowling alley.
Our message to the government is simple.
Stop existing as a functioning entity.
It's time to leave peaceful people alone. If you believe the government is so damn essential,
we have to go. I'm sorry.
Stop robbing us at the point of a gun and compete.
That concludes our debate.
Hey, shut his mic off. Freedom!
We'd like to remind voters that Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th.
And early voting has already started.
And early voting has already begun.
You're welcome.
Our thanks to the candidates and to our panel of journalists. We'd also like to thank the Atlanta Press Club for arranging today's debate.
Hey, thank you.
For more information about the debates they will host this election season, visit atlantapressclub.org/debates. I'm Donna Lowry. Thanks for joining.
I'd like to say for the last second that the Atlanta Press Club should not exist. It's forced coercion. They're forcing people to believe in the free press is an instrument of the establishment. This is
the Atlanta Press Club debates.
Great, man, that was great. I feel like I learned so much. Stacey did fantastic. I thought. Let's just sum this up if we can real quick, and I'll let you guys go. Thanks for joining me, by the way, for the full take on that. I gotta say, if you want to learn how to do it and you're thinking about running for office, watch how Stacey Abrams handled that debate. She was masterful. She was on point. She didn't let herself get backed into a corner by any of their bullshit talking points. She even headed them off at the pass. Very smart woman, very effective, really terrific. Go, Stacey, go. Just saying. Just like a fucking boss. Absolutely. That was really impressive. And the other side, by the way, and it was, believe me, there were two halves in this, was Hazel and Kemp, who were basically running for the same voter. And the anti-Kemp maggots are all going to vote for Hazel, and if they vote at all. And there aren't enough of them to make a fucking dent. They're just going to diminish Kemp and push Stacey Abrams over the hump. If this debate is indicative of fucking anything, it's that Trump has fucked Kemp into a corner right at the time he's up against one of the most effective opponents he's ever had politically. And she's been through this. Like she came this close last time. And if he hadn't been Secretary of State, there's an argument that by denying, working voting machines and slowing the rolls effectively, he discouraged enough of a vote to get ahead. That's not going to happen this time. And the, Georgia voters especially, and especially minority voters and those who give a shit about them, because that's the vast majority of people in this country, I truly believe, is, there's the minority and then there's the majority of white voters that are like, fuck that, you don't take the vote from somebody, who are actually on her side. And they are either, if they're not going to vote directly for her, they support her by not voting for one of these two dickheads. So really great stuff. Really great stuff. I like Beto a lot, but Stacey Abrams is amazing. Do you think she'll make over 50%? Yes, I do, because I think Kemp and Hazel will diminish each other's vote enough to grind it down. And the two of them, you got to understand, in Georgia, one of the best things Warnock has going for him is the fact that maggots hate Kemp and they don't want to vote. And they're not going to show up and then not vote. They're just going to not show up. They're going to eat each other. Shave your head and vote Libertarian. And again, for the record, Libertarians are assholes. It is not a functioning governance. And if they believed anything they fucking say, they wouldn't even be involved in government. They would all be, Elon Musk's. They would all swamp the entire system with how great they are. They do everything in the private sector, and they fucking well don't. It's the same thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene seems to like, the government's the problem. Yeah, because assholes like you are in it, wasting everyone's time, yammering about bullshit instead of actually trying to help your constituents. So I think this is fascinating, and I think Abrams clearly nailed this. And as a matter of fact, I would argue that Warnock could take lessons from how to operate in this situation. She just nailed it. So anyways, much love to you guys. I will see you tomorrow in the afternoon. And then after tomorrow's show, I'm going to pack myself in my car and drive to LA, do my morning show and the afternoon show from LA. And then I'm going to do my Flapper show. Still making up my mind whether I come back before the Saturday Sexy Liberal show. Probably will. So Thursday will probably be here, because I'm a fucking maniac. Anyways, I love you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And remember, if you're ever presented with a choice that somebody tells you is the lesser of two evils, it's easy. Choose less evil. See you guys tomorrow. Come on, last minute hype train. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way, on your way out the door, and give a thumbs up. Okay, bye. We're going to raid Midas Touch just in a couple seconds. Let everybody know that you're raiding them from the Sparks chat. I apologize. I was trying to talk quietly to the cat.